everyone, and I would like to welcome all of you in the name of the App Start Contesta organizing committee to this year's third lecture. Today, this lecture will be obviously held in English because we have a couple of international students from Sweden here. I think they are over there. Can you hear somebody exactly? Hi. So today's lectures will be Luka, Mervin, and Vedran from a firm minuta that specializes in mobile app development, and they will be talking about design. Also, for those of you that are attending the college course, a paper will be sent around, so please apply, sign yourself on it. And for any other, for the schedules of other lectures that will be happening in the future, please check our Google Plus or our Facebook pages. So, without any further ado, I would like to welcome Luka to start the presentation.
Hello everyone, my name is Luka. I'm here for 5 minutes. With me today I'll let Merlin and Vedran speak more. Let me give you just a brief introduction about the company. So we're a team of 50 specializing in mobile app development. And we started off as developers and developing, just providing development knowledge and technical knowledge. And soon we realized actually how important design is. And basically, when I talked to Tikana about our topic for this session, basically my only suggestion is that we cannot stress enough how important design is in the world of mobile apps. That is something that can differentiate you between a million of other developers, a million of other mobile developers, and something that will definitely give you a good head start in the world of mobile development. We started with a design team in-house probably 2 years ago. Before that, we always outsourced to companies dealing with web design and then learned to do the mobile design as well. This is probably something that most of you will be doing as part of this competition, getting someone from maybe graphical college, I don't know, or some of you who have maybe better expertise with design to just work solely on the design, and that is a great start. Today, the idea of our session is to show you that actually design isn't too complicated, no matter what you guys say. And actually that with following a couple of basic principles that we'll show you today, your apps can look many times better than what we've seen in the last App Start contests in the previous years. We, as engineers, we like to formalize stuff and like to have some strict guidelines and strict set of rules. I know that sometimes design cannot be formalized and it's also a lot of creativity, but what Vedran will show you today and Merlin adhere to some pretty accepted steps and rules that you can easily follow and implement in your apps. So Merlin is our UX lead, Vedran is our design lead. So might sound similar, but okay, maybe I need to explain this a bit more. So this is our process, how we do apps. Usually when we were younger and more foolish, we would start a new app. Yes, we have the specification. Okay, file, new project, let's go. And dig into the code and then rework from that and a couple of iterations backward and forward and get something out of the door. And now when we're older and a bit smarter, we have established a nice process that actually you should all follow, no exceptions. This is something that we've experienced on our own skin, lost a lot of time and money trying to find the best way, and basically this is what we found to be the best practice. So what are these images without text? What do they stand for? The first one is for UX design, UX or user experience, meaning that our first step in every mobile app, in developing any kind of software actually, whether it's a web app, a desktop app, or a mobile app, is a piece of paper and a pen. We have a couple of tools that can help out. Marilyn will show them. But the first step is paper and pen and sketch out the app. Sketch out what you're doing. Test it out. The second step is the design. So once you know what you're actually doing, now you can start with the design. So after you're done with sketching and putting out all the elements on the screen, then you can move with the design. So that's what these two guys are for. Marilyn is our lead for the first step. We're sketching, wireframing, prototyping, and all of those buzzwords that we'll talk about later. And Vedar is our guy for the design, our design lead. So these two steps have proven to be the most important steps of our mobile app development process. The third one is the development. So once we know what we're doing, how is it going to look like, what are all the features, then we're ready to start with the development. Developers like it that way because everything is specified, they know what they're building against, and it's much easier for them. The fourth step is quality assurance, or the testing of the app. So once you're done with the development, you go with some quality assurance, test it all out, see how it performs on various devices, find some bugs, etc., etc. You see those small gray lines going back from the QA to all the previous steps, because sometimes QA will find some issues that need to be reworked in the first phase, in the second, or in the third phase. And this is our process that leads eventually to the great app. So in our company we have a team of 5, 6, let's say 6. 5, maybe 5. 5 guys working in those first two steps. They go on maybe 15 developers or so, let's say, who use your services on a daily basis, probably. So when we're setting up a new team, for example, for one new client that we're working for, an ideal team would be of 7 guys. 1 the project lead, 2 developers for each platform, so 2 iOS, 2 Android, 1 QA, just doing the design, and 1 doing the QA, and 1 designer. So this is a ratio that we are probably using for building standalone apps that every team needs. You're probably doing something not as complex that would require 2 developers on each platform, but still, I'm pretty sure you need a designer or someone who will be in charge of the design in your team. I don't want this to be just purely talk, so Marilyn and Vedran have a lot of practical examples that they want to show you. So please welcome them and let me off the stage and welcome Marilyn to talk first about it.
Hi everyone. So my name is Merlin, or Merlin, for those in English, speaking English. And let me give you just a short background. So I also finished FAIR in 2008, and my first job was as a developer. So you might wonder what I'm doing with this. So let's do a show of hands. So who is a developer or programmer here? Really? Okay. Good things that user experience, design, and all those buzzwords, as Luca said, are just for hippies and tree huggers. Oh, okay, so we have a very progressive audience. As Luca mentioned, those 2 first steps are usually missing in the development process, and probably most of the components you will be working with are missing those 2. And my presentation is the other side of coding. Okay. So what programmers want? What do you want usually when you're working? So there are a few things. So many of you want flow, and flow is that feeling when it's late at night, nobody is disturbing you, and you're coding, and you know exactly what to do, and during that part, during that time, the code that you've written is excellent. Also, you want full code utilization. It means that you don't write code for 2 weeks, and then a manager says, but we agreed that that feature won't be in this release, so just delete it. And of course, you want positive feedback, because nobody likes to write something into the code and then to see it wasted or to see it in a negative way. But the flow, code optimization and positive feedback is not something that's very often in a usual development environment. And you might wonder what the biggest problem is that, and the biggest problem is communication. And user experience is all about communication. So your software is talking to your client or customer. You are also, as a developer, talking to a stakeholder, and stakeholder can be someone who is your manager, your boss, or someone outside, so a client. So someone who has any stakes in that project. And any progress in communication in that phase will result in a lousy communication between your software and the customer. And that part starts with when you're defining requirements. Usually when someone wants to create an application, so if a client comes to you, or if you're working on a product and you want to create some new feature, they usually just say, I want feature X. But they have a whole story in their head, and they're not transferring that to you. So they're expecting you to read their minds. You know, you all played when you were a little broken telephone game, so when some word or phrase goes to 10 or more people, then it's totally distorted, and that's what's usually happens. So a client comes to your boss, he redirects it to the sales manager, then the sales manager speaks with the project lead talks with the designer does something, talks with the developer, and maybe a client wanted a car and you build a skyscraper. Okay? And sometimes you will be lucky and the client will come to you with a textbook specification with 200 pages of A4, and you probably will never read it. Or if you read it, you will probably comprehend it in a different way than the client intended. So this is a similar chart as on Luca's slide. So I don't have pretty pictures, but I have text. And it starts with the requirements. The next step is, well, we call it user experience, but it's actually a mix of many things. So information architecture, user experience, interaction design. So information architecture is how you structure the application. So in general, navigation and where parts of the content will be. Interaction design is which controls will be used, how will user interact with the software. And after that, you come to a phase that's user interface design, and that's usually applying design guidelines of each platform. And that's something that Better does. So making your product beautiful, okay, and to have emotional impact on the client. So the first part, user experience is working with the mind of the client, and the second part is working with the emotion. And as a developer, this is probably your starting point. And as you think of your projects now, you probably think, okay, what technology will I use? And so what technology, what platform, what programming language, stuff like that. And if you're working in a standard development company, you will be placed here even if you don't want to be. But I think you should be involved in the project from the beginning. And here's why. The technical skill is very valuable, but if you don't have a good communication, then you won't be able to utilize it. And as you probably know, the people who have great skills and great communication skills, so great technical and communication skills, are superheroes. So my advice is start with the interface first. So I had 3 months ago I had a lecture here on fair on some Java course, and during the semester they had to build a web application. And I came in in the middle of the semester, and I brought a few papers like this, and I asked them, so please close your laptops, they were open wide, and take a pen and paper. And so they had to decide on which type of application they will do. So it would be either rental store or ticketing, online ticketing or something like that. And I said, okay, so take a pen and paper and draw your interface. Why? Because it's the only thing the user will see. So, and that's the only thing that the user will base his opinion on. So the interface of the application. The user doesn't care, and he won't pay based on what technology you use, what kind of code you write. That's irrelevant. You have to be aware that you are writing for the user, for him to accomplish some task. And the only thing that he'll see is the user interface. So start with that. Don't start with the database. Don't start with the technology stack. Start with the interface. And some guys had real problems. They needed about 10 minutes to start to draw. But I gave them about half an hour, and they were working in pairs. So they had to draw something, so few screens, and then present to someone next to them. And they were fearful because they feared feedback. But in some moment you have to publish your application. But after half an hour they had a really great time, and they found out that most of those sketches they did, they sucked. And that's okay. So, but they tried something, they got a feedback, they iterated, and each iteration was better. So here are some. I will leave those sketches here. These are some of mine. So this is how we usually start a project. I'll cast them on the screen also, but just pen and paper. Okay? You draw something, you have an idea, and you show this to a client, to a user, and then after talk about it, you spend a few minutes on this, and if it's not good, you just tear it up and throw away, and you start again. So you don't have to code for 2 or 4 weeks, and then show it to someone, and then that person will say, oh, that's not what I wanted. So it's much quicker and much more cost effective, and fun. So all those developers in the course had a great time exploring. There are other reasons why you can start with the interface. So the visual communication dominates. So the pictures, not text. So if you have a 200-page specification, it's boring. It's really boring, and it's every person will read something else from it. That's the specification. So in 5 minutes we have a really, sometimes we don't have documentation. If it's a really small project, we only have the visual one. And if it's a bigger, then we just have, well, let's say that text is explaining web services and stuff like that. But all the interactions are usually visualized. So everyone who comes to the project can easily recognize what has to be done and what has to be coded. And of course, if you're speaking Croatian or English and working for a Croatian or English client, then it's easy. But when you have the clients from all around the world, and the contractors of the clients are from another country, then this is pretty important. So, when you have a picture or some animation, it's understood across the world, and you don't have to translate. So it is also very cost-effective to solving that. As I mentioned, start as soon as possible, and there are no ugly sketches. Okay? If you can draw a rectangle, a line, or a circle, then that's enough. this is a start of an application that in 2 months got to 1.5 million downloads. And you don't have to be afraid when someone comes from a different country with some money and sits beside you. So don't be afraid to take pen and paper and sketch. So this is the same application. As you can see, this is the flow. So what happens when you play a game? So if someone calls you or you suspend the application, to explain everything here, I would need about 3 or 4 paragraphs of text. But when you see this, when I explain it in 3 sentences, then you get it. Okay? Of course, this is some other application. And picture is great, but the prototype is much better. And you can, so I'm still here, I'm still on paper, okay? Analog. When you have paper, you can cut the screens out and you can play with it. So you can put the screens in front of a user and he can tape those screens, paper screens, and you can change it. And you can ask him to think aloud and he will talk about his flow and his intentions. And that's a great way to learn something about your application. If there is some problem, you just take another paper, sketch it in a different way, and present it. So something like this. Okay. So this is also the application at the beginning. So this is the first meeting with the client. Okay. I took an iPad, thick pen, and drew some circles on it. So as you see, it's not very hard. And there's something like this. So this is a Nexus 10. You don't recognize it. Okay. And this is Nexus 7, directly from the States. And it's very easy to get immersed in a 27-inch display and to zoom in and go, wow, look at this button. But when you take a device like this, and then you see, oh my God, it's a small screen. Look at my thumbs. So it's very different when you have something physical in your hand. So take an iPhone, iPad, or something else, or something like this, and put your designs on it, like here. Then you will find, okay, this is too small, this is too big, okay. And in here we were trying. So you were playing a game that's time-based, and we were working on a bigger tablet. Where are your thumbs? And placement of the fingers, and how quickly can you play with it? Okay. So you don't have to know how to draw to make some good, to have some good info about it. Okay. But if you can draw, then you can do something like this. And it's also it's much easier to show interaction like this than to write it in text. Okay. But at some point, it's when you have to create dozens of screens, and share them all over the world, then the digital prevails. So this is great for the first time because it is the quickest way. And you can always scan it and send it with an email, but there are a lot of digital tools that you can use to collaborate. Okay. So one of those is Balsam. We use Balsam for wireframing. No. So if you remember the paper sketch with the tables and grids, so this is the same application, the next phase, so visualizing. Okay. Something like this, so this is a smartphone, Android version. This is the iPhone. And you can also prototype in code, but don't try it at first. So please try paper or something like polaznike. Prototype because only there you can code it in under a few minutes. There is some easy way, or if there are libraries that solve a lot of problems for you. Because if you delve into coding and then you need 3 hours to do something, then it's too late. Okay, so in 3 hours I can do probably 3 of those, and I will have a lot more data to work with than you can do in a prototype. So a prototype is good if it can be done really quick. So if you want to, for example, we wanted to present a parallax effect to the client. If you know what this is, so when few of the things move with different speeds on the screen, okay, something like this, and you can code it in CSS3 animations in about 2 minutes. So it's a great way to code something and then to upload it and send a link to your client. Okay. And when you finish, so the main purpose of this is to have all the cases covered and all the questions asked, because when a client wants something, he doesn't tell you everything. So it's up to you to get all the answers out. So this is the tool to get them. But when you have everything and you have all the wireframes set up and the flow application is agreed on, then we usually give those wireframes to the developer and to the designer, and then both tracks go in parallel. And designer and the developer are present from the beginning, but not the full time. But every time I do this, I ask them, how would we do platform design, or can we do this in code? And then those responses from the developers and designers will result in this. So something for the end. Great communication is your responsibility, and those things in the beginning, so your flow, code utilization, and positive feedback will be possible for you as developers if you have good communication with the client. So after all the questions are answered and there are no unknowns, then you can, after that, you can decide on a step, on a programming language, and do your job in flow. But if you have to change, if the requirements change every week, then that will be no fun. So it is your responsibility also. And share ideas. So if you are doing something like this more, then don't sketch and don't draw and then don't hide it somewhere. When I do something, we have big boards, cardboard boards in the office, and when I draw something, I take this and what I think about it, and then I put it here, so everyone can see it. And that's important because someone will come, someone will have a different opinion, a different experience, and he will probably find something that can be improved, but it cannot be improved if it's hidden in your bag. You don't know everything. Nobody knows everything, and it's not possible to be in your user's shoes from the beginning. So when you draw something, if you test it and then it's bad, tear it up and throw it away. Don't be attached to this piece of paper. And it won't be perfect from the first try. And when I started doing this, I wanted to make it perfect, but it's not possible. So you have to iterate, and after 3 or 4 iterations, it will be much better. So don't try to do just one thing and then go back to design and code, because iterating in code is very expensive and it's at least 10 times more time consuming. So iterate as early as possible, and you can iterate on paper or some digital tool. And I think Thank you. So I'll leave this here, you can print later, and after Vedran's talk, we'll have a questions and answer session. So I'll leave it for there. And if you want to try an exercise,
Hi everyone, my name is Vedran and I'm a user interface designer at 5 Minutes. Today I will talk about user interface design, obviously. This is my Twitter handle, if someone wants to contact me, and this is my Dribble profile. So, I will talk about user interface design in 3 parts. First part will be about design in general. Second part will be about some design elements, some principles, which will then hopefully help you to better understand the third part, where I will show you an example of an app design. So I will start with a few quotes. The first one is one cannot not communicate. So this is the first axiom of communication from Paul Václavic. He was a famous psychologist and communication theorist. And what this means is that everything we do, whether it's design, is implementation, so coding, whether it's copywriting, everything affects user interface, so everything communicates something. So we have to be very careful how we do it. You didn't think that we'll talk about design and not mentioning something from Steve Jobs. So what he said is that design is not just how it looks, but also how it works. And this is very important, because a lot of people, probably most people, think of design as something that's just an eye candy. So you know, you do everything, and then at the end of the process, you make that look nice, pretty, beautiful. I don't know what, and that's very far from the truth. As Marilyn said, or Marilyn, as Marilyn said, designers and coders have to be in the process from the beginning, and that's how it works at 5 Minutes, and that's how it works everywhere where people take app design, app development seriously. A lot of times you can hear people saying that design should be invisible, and what that means is that it doesn't mean that you get a blank screen. What that means is that it shouldn't get in the way of the content or of the action that someone wants to perform in their app. So this quote from Dieter Rams, who is a famous industrial designer: good design is as little design as possible. You have to be careful not to overdo it. So design, but you know, stop where you see that design is interfering with the content or with actions that you want to do. This is one of the 10 commandments or 10 principles of good design in Dieter Rams, and these are some other. He was an industrial designer, but he had a big influence on Jonathan Ive, who is a designer at Apple. You can see in the background, it's not very good, but you can see that there is this calculator that Dieter Rams did for Brown. If you take your iPhone and go to calculator, you will see that it looks the same. So good design is innovative, makes product useful, is aesthetic, because when you take all those, take everything, when you make a good design, then it will always end up being, aesthetic. If you do things on the grid, if you respect some principles, you cannot end up with something that looks bad. Makes product understandable, is unobtrusive, which is what I said before about the design being invisible. These are other commandments. They can be taken for design in general, not just industrial design, not user interface design, but in general. So why else is design important? So usually your product has a life cycle, and it's usually something like this. You have a first contact with your product, users contact with your product, you have the first time use, and those two steps or parts of life cycle are pretty important, because if the user doesn't like what he gets on those in the first contact with an app, then unfortunately he will probably end up with this. If you're really lucky, then users will start using your app, and it will end up. If you're really lucky, then it will end up. You will end up with a passionate fan base or users which really love your app, which is the case with, I don't know, Instagram or apps like that, services like that. So you should take care of the design of that layer of your app. So it's something that users will, when they open an app, that's something that they will notice. They won't notice if the app is, coded very well at the start. They will see it later, but they will just notice that layer, the design layer. So stay here. So there are many design principles, design elements. I will talk about these three briefly, because they will lead us to the last part where you will see an example, and I think that knowing something about these three things will help you understand it. So typography, grids, and colors. We'll start with typography. So typography is the art and technique of arranging type in order to make language visible. So that can mean a lot of things, but essentially typography is maybe there is people talk about how web design is probably 95% typography. So app design is similar to that. Usually apps, have some kind of content that you need to read, and if typography is bad, then it's going to be users won't like it. So when we talk about typography, we can talk about a lot of things. This is just a brief intro, and the first thing that you need to know is that typeface classification is generally you have serif fonts and sans serif fonts. Serif fonts have those they are called serifs. They have a rhythm that reminds you and I of a handwriting, so it's easier to read text. So if you have a lot of text, if you have a big amount of text, then it's a good thing to use serif font. It will be easier to read. The readability will be better. And sans serif fonts are usually better for headlines, bigger text. On the apps, on a small screen, you really don't. You can't have big type size, text size, so it's really important to make that text readable. One of the, or maybe one of the most important things is to look for fonts that have large X height. So what that is that's actually the height of the lowercase letter. So these two words actually have the same font size, but you can see that on the left the X height is small. So when you try to read small text, small font size with small X height, it will be very hard to read. You know, those words will be very thin, and it's hard to distinguish letters. So much better is to use typefaces that have big X height. The other thing that you have to, well, this is actually a problem, because on the upper part we can see Helvetica and Roboto. So Helvetica is an official font for iOS apps, so iOS operating system. So you can see how the lowercase L's and the uppercase I look the same. You know, so imagine the words small size on the screen of your phone that have, you know, something like this. You will have a problem with words like that. So that's something that Helvetica and Roboto is actually done especially for Android and for mobile devices. They don't do it right. Underneath you have two examples, Source Sans Pro. It's an Adobe font. I think it's open source font. You see how it has those curves on the lowercase L's. So that's something that distinguishes L from the uppercase I. So they look like a small details, but actually they make text much more readable. So even in this last case, Cecilia, it has even better font shapes. So it's even more readable. The other thing that's important is the line length. So when you have a very long line length that's more than 70 characters, so you can see it in the middle, it's actually hard to read. When you go to the end of the line and have to return to the start of the second line, it's actually not that easy. If you have a bigger amount of text, it will be hard to read it. So that's something that you can find on tablets, for example. Tablets are, you know, on landscape, they are very wide, so usually you get wider text, wider paragraphs. The same thing with too narrow paragraphs. It's also hard to read. Too few words, you know, on each line, and it's just harder to read. So it's a common thing to have around 40 to 70 characters with spaces in one line. Second thing about paragraphs is that you have to set the line height right. So it's not good to have small line height. You can see in the middle, it's just, you know, everything is just too cramped, and you cannot read it. I think that even some letters will go on top of, you know, others in line, in second and third line. So and also, you know, too big line height also a problem. So you should be careful about that. The line height and line length, if you set them right, it will mean a lot to your users. Hierarchy, so it's very important how you organize your information. So, you know, if there weren't, if the title wasn't, you know, that big and had, you know, bold cut, or you know, if those paragraphs were, you know, the same color as the headlines and subheadlines, then you would end up with something that is hard to, you know, content that is hard to scan through. If you look at that kind of well done, hierarchy from the far, you will see something like this. So this is a good example of hierarchy, where you can easily see where the headline is, where the title is, and it's even easier for people to learn something from good, something with a good hierarchy. So one thing that you can hear a lot these days is responsive topography. Reading distance is very important because you don't read everything on the same distance. You take your iPhone and you look at it at a distance of about, 30 centimeters. You have your monitor at the distance of around 70 centimeters or so. Every device you read from a little bit a different distance. So what's important is that you set the font size relatively to the distance. So, for example, if the text on the screen of your monitor is 16 points, that doesn't mean that it has to be 16 points on your on the small screen that you look from not that far away. So when you look at those things in the distance that they are meant to be, look at the typeface should be the same size. Second important thing, and something that will help a lot when designing our grids. Actually, when you use grids, you get a structure that you can use to organize content. I think that humans by nature need order, so grids can provide us with order. And also, we can more easily get good balance in content. You can see on the left side on the left and on the right side we have same three elements, but when you combine them a little bit differently, you see that the right one is actually more balanced. It's arranged better. This is an example of 3x3 grid. Imagine that those dark rectangular shapes are actually pictures, and those gray ones are text. So you can divide a page with a grid, and then everything that you do at the end looks balanced. So that's what grids are good for. Why I'm saying all of this, this is an example of a grid on Android from ice cream sandwich on, and you can see that actually there is this 48-bit rhythm to that grid. So every element is placed inside of that space, and you can see that you always have the same margins between elements. There are 8 dips. And in the end, you get something like this on the right side, and imagine doing that without the help of guides. It will probably be all over the place and wouldn't look as good. Third thing that I'll talk about are colors. One of the definitions of colors are that they are used in design to attract attention. Group elements indicate meaning and enhance aesthetics. So you can combine colors in many ways. This is a color wheel. You can see on one side you have warm colors, on the other side you have cold colors, and then you can combine them in different ways. Two of those ways, probably the most usual ways, are complementary, which means that you choose colors from the opposite side of the color wheel, and the other thing is analogous, which means that you choose colors that are next to each other in the color wheel. It's used for branding. You immediately, when you open an app, you immediately you know that it's, for example, favorite. I think that those 3 colors or combinations of colors immediately, you immediately know what services those are, So it's important in that sense too. But maybe the most important thing is that that colors have meanings. You know, throughout the past, you know, humans adapted some of meanings for colors. So you know, when you see something green, a notification that is green, you know that it's a positive feedback. When you see something red, you know that it's a negative thing. It's a warning. And blue is usually used for the information that there is neutral. So this is an example of buttons. So I mean, probably every app or most of the apps have buttons. So okay, button is usually green, or it doesn't have to be green, but if you want the user to immediately see that it's good, that something positive will happen after he clicks that button, then that's a good choice. Delete red and cancel is gray, a little bit more neutral because it usually doesn't do any harm. So with that we come to the last part of the talk, the example of an imaginary tech news app. I'm using Android for, I don't know how many people here code for Android, but I suppose there are a few. So this is with what we this is a start point. So unfortunately, even today you can find apps that look as bad as this on the Play Store, and you know you can see a lot of problems here. So the first thing, it doesn't respect the Android design guidelines for the new operating systems like ice cream sandwich or gelatin. It has that I think that it's from gingerbread or whatever version. It has that gray header, and there should be a menu button on the bottom because it doesn't use action bar with your full button. So there are a lot of problems. Text is right to the left side. It doesn't have any padding. Everything is the same color. Everything is black. Almost every image is different. You know, it just looks bad. So what we can do with this, and if you're an Android developer, you will understand this. So the first thing that you can do is to apply follow style to that app. So you immediately get this action bar, which is by default dark gray, and you get the light gray background of an app, which is good because reading text on white is not very good for your eyes. So this is a good start, but we have a lot of problems to solve. So the next thing is to add branding. So this news app, it has a logo. You can put it there on the action bar, and you introduce the color. So this color is your brand color, but you can also use it to highlight some things in an app, like for example a link, like you can see here. But we still have problems with typography and images. So the next thing you will notice the difference. We don't have any margins here, and if you remember the grid talk before, you saw that grid from Android, and this is actually it applied. So you get 16-bit from both sides. It's important to have the left and the right margin, and we also introduced margin underneath the title and also underneath the picture. So now the content breathes a little bit, and it's better, but still not good enough. So the next thing that we'll do, we'll change things, change the thumbnail of the picture. So if you see, before we had almost randomly, they were almost random size, but with this we introduced, we actually cropped images inside of the placeholder, and now we get content, now we get images on the left side, and you can easily follow the content next to them with an eye. You don't have that curved line that we had before. You don't easily separate the image part from the text part like here. Also, this article view, the image is also stretched. The placeholder for the image is stretched to the left and right margin, and the image is cropped inside. So the next thing, you can see the difference. Here, everything, the name of the article, the metadata, the text of the article, everything is the same color, almost the same. Everything has almost the same weight. We were talking about the hierarchy, so we will change that. So this metadata and the title of the article is not that important. First thing that's important is that you see the name of the article, bigger image, so you can decide to go and read it. On the right side, and also what we changed, if you see, look at the line height, which I was talking about. Here, Samsung Galaxy S4 will come with 5-inch screen. That line height is too big. Now we change that, and it's immediately easier to see the title of the article, and and it's easier to scan through the list. On the right side, you can see also some changes with the metadata of the article, and the thing that happened with the text of the article is that we introduced another font. I was saying that when you have bigger amounts of text, you can use serif fonts or some other font that's easier to read than the one that you're using for the headlines or stuff like that. So headlines are actually Robota, which is Android's font, and this is, I'm not sure what's the name of the font, but it's a font that actually looks it's more readable when you have this article with a lot of text, so that's a good thing. And also, if you can see, I changed the colors of the text, so it's not dark gray or black on white background. It's gray on a light gray background, which is easier for your eye to when you read. Okay, so that's it. You can see more details here. So you can see that icons are also in the grid. You have to be careful about those things. And I think that if you don't do custom maps, I think that Android framework does that for you. So one problem less. And also, if you want to style this header, you don't actually need a designer at this point, because there are tools. Google is good, so they give you a lot of tools. And there's a tool, I'm not sure what's the name of the tool. I think it's action bar style something or something like that. You just put color in, and you get the assets for that action bar, and you can get something like this without even contacting designer, but you should. This is another detail view. You can see the font for the text. I think it's a little bit easier to read than Robot. So another thing, you shouldn't stop, of course. With smartphone, you should do tablet. And you can see that the start point for a tablet is also very bad. You just get the list, and in a landscape mode it looks silly. You know, you get those long titles, and you get a lot of empty space. With you didn't use the real estate of the screen very well. Also, if you see how the article view looks, if you remember the talk about paragraphs, I said that if text is too long, then you will have problems reading it. Imagine reading a lot of text on Next 10, which has 10-inch screen, and I don't know how many characters in one line. You wouldn't like it. So I will skip a few steps, but it's essentially the same thing as with the smartphone. We changed typography, hierarchy. We changed images. We introduced styling in the action bar, but we still have the same layout. And this looks weird because we have a huge image, but it's cropped because its height is actually not that big. So it's weird how it crops, and you cannot see the whole image. And also the text is, although we have changed typography, it's still very hard to read. So what we do here is we introduce two-column layout. You can see that you have article list on the left side and the article on the right side. You can easily scroll through the content on the left side with your one thumb. You can scroll with the other through the article, and it looks much better. We improved typography here and images better, but it still isn't that good. So we can introduce some more white space. Don't be afraid of the white space, because tablets, especially in the landscape mode, on many apps, you will have a problem. You will have content that cannot go to the whole width of the screen, and introducing a lot of margins, a lot of white space on the left and the right side is actually not a bad thing. You know, you can go to Google now or an app like that, and you will see that what they just introduced the white space on the left and the right side, and you have content that's actually probably the width of the content on the portrait mode. So you can do that. Also, I made this header a lot bigger. Images now crop better, and even on the left side, you see that there is additional margin. And this is actually a good thing. Okay, Next 10 has a big bezel, but if some tablets don't, so it's easier to hold it in the hand. You won't click something or tap something, or This is a detailed view. You can see here that, and it's also something that I think Framework does for you. This search is actually expanded. If you remember on the smartphone, you get just the magnifier icon, but here it's already expanded. You can immediately start typing your search term. So think about those things as well. So at the end, you see that now the tablet and smartphone versions look much better than what we had in the start, and it actually wasn't rocket science to achieve that. But we still have one other problem, and it's called iOS. So you probably know that it's not a good idea to just port the design from one platform to another. You have to respect some guidelines. Doing the iPhone version, you have to maintain some level of. It has to be consistent, but you don't have to make it the same. So here I introduced a pattern that you see often on iOS, and it's this drawer thing. When you click this, when you tap this menu button, it just content just slides from the left side, and you get the list of articles. So you can search articles from there. You can just scroll through those, and then when you tap, click is when you tap it, then you can get the article view, which is actually similar to what we have on Android. It uses Helvetica, which is similar to Roboto, so you won't have much problem with that. And the branding is also, it's slightly changed. You remember how we had it inverse on Android, and we have now we have this thunder icon, which is white. Those things are okay. You have to maintain the branding, but you have some freedom with that. And what happened with the refresh button? We don't have an icon anymore. We used a common pattern on iOS, which is full to refresh. This is a share button. It's just a detail view, so you can see that actually we got something similar, not the same. Respects the iOS guidelines, and it looks nice. And what we could do with the iPad version is that we could just take the Android layout and have it here, but we can also do something more interesting, I think. So you can see that on the left side we have something similar to the drawer which we introduced in iPhone layout, and actually the behavior. This is a detailed view of the article. This is the behavior. When you slide the article to the right side, you get the list of articles. You can see the full list, right? And when you slide back, you get this. So you see that there is some kind of content on the left side. You know that you have to go there, tap there, or slide it to see it. And it's just something that works good on iOS, on iPad. So this is similar. You can have white space around, and very similar type treatment as on Android. So this is iOS at the end. It's very consistent, and you will see here that we end up with an app that's on two platforms, but still has a consistent feel. It doesn't look the same. It doesn't repeat or steal things from other platforms. It respects the platform, but you will immediately know that it's that app. When you open it, you will know that it's your favorite tech news reader. So that's it. That we now have
So we are finished with the presentations, and do you have any questions for us? No questions? Nothing? You know everything about design? Come on.
Well, I'll ask.
Okay.
What are the recommended tools for wireframe?
There are none. So it depends what you want to do. So you can use pen and paper and scans. Some people use pen and paper but they don't finish the full design. So they do the master page, then they scan it and print it out and then you can draw the end. So they go and there are also digital tools. Just Google it, just write digital code library.
probably about none of these.
Yeah, so Osim, sure.
We are using the Vision, which is a great app for making prototypes, working prototypes. So but no other versions.
A s obzirom da smo na više strana, se možemo...
Da, možda možemo na hrvatskom, da.
Ima sad neko pitanje na hrvatskom?
Da. Ajde, jedno bar pitanje, ono je teško.
Koja je neka najmanja većina
Najmanja
većina? Što se tiče većine?
Pa mislim, to isto ovisi o kojem se dijelu, kojem se tekstu radi, ne? Znači, znam da Andrej recimo preporučuje veličine od 8 SPA, znači, kako se kaže to na hrvatski? Dajte engleski pitati. Evo sad zablokirati samo malo. Znači, veličine idu od, ne znam, 8, 10, 12, 18, 24 SPA, znači to je density independent point, znači veličina fonta neovisno o density ekrana, znači što Android ima te probleme ili prednost jer koristi jer je fragmentiran, ima puno density različitih širokih broja uređaja, znači nema nekog pravila, ovisi o kojem se tekstu radi. Ali, kažem, oni preporučuju, možeš skinuti, ako odeš na Android developer site, imaš dizajn dio, tamo možete naći puno savjeta, toolova, možete si skinuti stencile, ne znam, ikone, što god. I tamo ćete vidjeti isto pod typography objašnjeno šta je najbolje koristiti, tako da možda ne biti tako. Ne znam, na ovoj aplikaciji tekst, size, iskreno ne mogu se točno sjetiti, mogu pogledati kasnije pa ti kažem točno.
Koje materijale ste učili za APS-u? Iz čega ste ga učili?
Što za?
APS-u.
To je program. Ne za?
Ne, mislim, iz čega ste učili? Ste direktno učili ste baviti programa, ste imali ne znam knjige ili tutoriale za...
Mi koristimo
Balsamic, InVision i Old School.
Da, Balsamic i InVision zapravo.
Stvarno svi tih alata da ih... Znači, ne možeš gdje se priča kao user experience, odnosno komunikacija s klijentom i s korisnikom. Ima cijeli proces i možeš napraviti 17 koraka do kraja, ali bitnih je napraviti što manje, a da imaš sve informacije. Tako da, nekad ako je nešto tako jednostavno samo nešto na crtanom papiru i doslovno možemo više dizajn, a nekad ta faza mora trajati 2 mjeseca i uključivati 10 ljudi ili tako da nema nikog niza koraka koji se uvijek moraš podržavati svakim. Dalje?
Da li imate više projekata za klijente ili prodajete na store?
Pa, s obzirom da smo mi service company, onda za klijente radimo. Da.
Koliko je uopće teže dizajnirati za Android s obzirom na više, znači, na sve različite?
Pa, to je dosta, mislim, teže je u smislu da imaš puno više moraš, u fazi kada moraš dostaviti nešto programerima, imaš puno više posla, ne? Postoje 4 density koje moraš pokriti, na sreću više su one najmanjine, LDP se više ne koristi, toliko, ali moraš pokriti MDP, HDP, XHDP i tako dalje, ne? Onda znači, imaš jako puno rada tu, ali zapravo kod dizajniranja, ono što ja radim i što je, mislim, preporuka, to je da uzmeš onaj uređaj koji je trenutno XHDPI, a to su sada Nexus 4 i takvi uređaji, Samsung Galaxy S3 ili tako nešto, je rezolucija 1280 puta 720, isto tako tablet, uzmeš Nexus 10 koji ima ogromnu rezoluciju, ali bitno je napraviti najveću i onda od tuda na niže možeš kasnije pripremati asete za programere. Znači, nije teže raditi za Android do trenutka kad moraš pripremati materijal. Tad postaje ono...
U smislu, znači, da li ima, s obzirom na, ne znam, različite oblike, veličine ekrana, da jednostavno neki možeš sadržaj drugčije složiti?
Da, zapravo slažeš za one najčešće koristene uređaje. Znači, mi smo recimo radili Android smartphone s HDPI, znači to je recimo Nexus 4, onda smo radili Nexus 10, što je 10-inčni tablet, radili smo 7-inčni tablet. To su 3 najpopularnije veličine, znači sad ima jako puno 7-inčnih tableta, 10-inčnih nema toliko, ali ih ima, i smartphone. Znači za te 3 veličine se radi, za landscape i portrait, i ima dosta posla, ali jako puno toga rješava Android framework koji zapravo, ako pametno pripremiš materijale, puno toga on sam rješava. Poslije nekakve među density poput TV DPI-a koji zapravo se nikad i ne radi zato što framework samo scale-a na niže koji je sljedeći, HDPI. Tako da, znači, nije to baš, nije Android toliko teško raditi koliko ljudi pričaju, a mislim da ćete uskoro dočekati trenutak kad iOS više neće biti tako jednostavno, znači neće biti 2-3 uređaja, nego će i oni morati postati malo fleksibilniji.
Znači neko da nekog može spomenuti da pratite na Twitteru preko web-projekta izbora relevantno za
Puno.
Jako puno, da.
Nema to iz glave.
Znači, problem moderno vrijeme pardon je to što na Twitteru pratiš sve živo i onda više ne znaš koga pratiš. Jedan od ljudi kojeg ja pratim isto ima veze s UX-om, to jest uglavnom ima veze s UX-om je Ryan nešto iz 37 Signals, ona ekipa koja radi Basecamp i tako stvari. Znači, čovjek koji dosta piše o tome i znači, nije ono čisto savjetnik, više ima nekakav teoretski pristup i zanimljivo čitati. Mislim, i Basecamp je vrlo uspješan proizvod i iz toga on primjere nekakve vade, tako da, tako su.
Problem je što je user experience jako zaustavljeno područje kao community management, onda ljudi koji ne znaju što rade, svi su ono user experience i onda ćeš toga gomilu. Tako da, user experience je zato skuplja jako puno stvari, a ne neko se bavi contentom, ali onda skuplja se user experience bolje prodano, jedan je user experience design.
Koliko ste uspjeli doći do nekog user experience-a koji se ne tiče samo ekrana i isključivo tapkanja, nego nekakve dodatne stvari, gestures i baš sam ukljamo ili nekakve dodatne stvari koje neke aplikacije imaju.
Radili smo sad sa znači za ove, kako se medicinske ustanove, znači nekakve znači komunikacija sa vanjskom aparaturom i znači nekakva mjerenja sa vanjskim sadržajem. Znači spajanje, znači imate interfejs na mobitelu, ali se spaja na nekakve druge uređaje i onda oni gdje sam zajedno rade. A sad sam čak učeo na projekt, nisam što reći, koji znači radi sa uređajima koji nisu striktno na mobilu.
Da, to je top secret. A što se tiče gesture-based interfejsa, mislim da ovi standardni klijenti nisu baš jako za to. Oni su dosta, daj mi button i gotovo. Međutim, mi smo onda pokušali nešto interno čak raditi, međusobno raditi neke stvari koje imaju naprednije interaction od tapkanja po gumi. Tako da smo radili note, pokušavamo napraviti nekako koji koristi dosta geste, znači zapravo ja mislim da cijelo slučaj bi trebalo biti bez jednog butona. Tako neke stvari su nam zanimljive, ali za klijente, znaš, teško je to progorati baš.
Klijentima kad ne znaš šta hoće, onda daj mi sad još jedan button. Još jedan button. Tako da imali smo jednu aplikaciju koja je nažalost išla u totalnom krivom smjeru i ostala se kontroli i zadnja ideja s njihove strane je bila, ali ne pretjeruje, kliknete ovaj sklopu pop-up, znači web aplikacija u browseru, skoro cijela aplikacija, znači cijeli pop-up je kod svega ekrana, imate grid buttona. Barem smo se dogovorili da su u grid buttoni, tako da...
Biće dobro.
Da, biće dobro.
Možda predstavimo se.
Tako da ako ćete raditi ovakav neki posao, onda ono što ćete morati često raditi je i educirati klijenta ili šefa. Znači ako radite nekom produktu, ljudi će često ići s onim što je standardno, ljudi će sa ovom.
Puno kompleks.
Da, znači uglavnom je to špolica, onda kad ljudi čovjeku pokažete. Najbolje kako mu možete pokazati je da napravi kad je drugi test. Znači kad neko misli da njegova ideja najbolja, onda ga pozovete i se lijepite da ne mogu ništa pričati i date nekom drugom da to isproba. I onda kad se ljudi to pomno raskuri, ne znam šta moraju raditi, onda će malo promisliti. A dok god nema takav neki dokaz, onda mislim da se ono pravo i da će još jedan pattern riješiti problem.
Imamo još pitanje?
Dobro je krenuo, može.
Jel ima išta razlike kada dizajnira za ovako ili kada se rotira mobitel?
Ima dosta razlike. Čak i kod mobitela, iako je kod mobitela to manje primjetno nego kod tableta, ali isto moraš razmišljati i tu se isto događaju neke stvari koje su pomalo automatske, znači recimo ako action bar imaš na Androidu i ako uključiš landscape mode, on će biti manji, znači manje visine. Isto tako možeš i na telefonu, na smartphonu možeš isto drugačije organizirati sadržaj, iako mislim da rijetko, dobro sad problem dolazi što su smartphoni sve veće. Znači dok je bilo do 4 inča, bilo je relativno ok, kada kreneš na landscape još uvijek imaš pristojan layout, ali sada sa 5 i 6, ne znam šta već se smatra smartphone, sad bi mogli tu biti problem. To je meni bliže 7-inčnom tabletu nego telefonu.
Još jedna stvar, znači kad ukrenete općenito, kad ukrenete mobitel, ne morate nužno samo proširiti trenutni layout, znači možete napraviti nešto drugačije. Jedna od stvari koju smo mi radili bila na multiple card, znači ovo dođete kod Zoom pa svi imate karticu, znači imate aplikaciju za to i sad znači kad imate sve neke podatke, dođe vam je mali barcode. Ali kad ukrenete mobitel, onda se barcode prikaže full screen, barcode je po širini, i onda ga je vrlo lako skenirati. Tako da morate na taj način razmišljati da nije samo ono posljedće ćemo proširiti, nego možete nešto drugačije napraviti.
Slična stvar kao sa, ako ste YouTube app sigurno koristili, kada okrenete landscape, onda će se video aktivirati u full screenu. Znači, možete razmišljati o landscape kao triggeru za neku drugu akciju ili za neko drugi prikaz, što je slično ovome što je Merlin rekao, tako da mogu se raditi za neke stvari. Još?
Kod vas u firmi dizajneri, što točno predaju koderima, programerima, znači trebate li puni HTML layoute na Androidu što već ili znači samo grafički dizajn pa nam to prebacuju?
Pošaljemo, bilo bi super kad bi dizajneri mogli malo više sudjelovati u tom dijelu kada se implementira dizajn, međutim još to nije tako kod nas. Ono što mi radimo, rade se svi ekrani uglavnom, skoro svi se ekrani rade, znači nema onda napraviš 2 pa je to riješeno, uglavnom se mora razraditi više ekrana, predajemo preview tih ekrana, znači full size preview i asset, a od asseta ovisi šta se radi, ali uglavnom su to, mi radimo vrlo često radimo skoro sve custom dizajn, pa onda znači, i action bar i te neke stvari isto dajemo im assete za iOS, isto tako se custom headeri mijenjaju, neke takve stvari, znači mi dosta toga zapravo na kraju moramo predati.
Zapravo većina aplikacija je samo puno sličica koje se viđu na ekranu.
Da, izrezano. I mislim ono što je super kod Androida je što možete, znači pripremite nekakav komad, znači neke grafike koja se mora negdje rastezati, imate ovaj super alat na M-Page tool kojim samo odredite znači, na toj grafici koji dijelovi se ponavljaju i u kojoj dimenziji i zapravo onda ih framework dalje širi. Recimo, priprema za header, onaj plavi, može biti 4 piksela po širini, cijela visina i onda samo kažeš da se ponavljaju srednji pikseli ili nešto tako, ne. Čak možeš odrediti margine u kojima će content biti unutar, recimo, buttona, ne. Tako da, sve se stavi.
Dobro, jedna dobra stvar koja se zataknula, to je, znači, da li dizajneri programiraju, ovak, i znači, da li programeri komuniciraju, to se nema priča, da li programeri dizajniraju, zapravo takvi ljudi jako malo i takvi ljudi su ono prilično kažnjeni, sad ne znam točno da se bavite uglavnom programiranje, možda se neki bavi i nečim, ali probajte još nešto u to na praksi.
Vjerojatno se većina vas bavi programiranje, možda se neko bavi nečim. Toliko.
Ne morate znači biti eksperti, znači ja znam nešto o dizajnu i bavim se tim international, ne mogu znači crtati ovako lijepo i dobro kao jedan, ali dobro je da poznam to, onda nas dvojica možemo pričati na istom jeziku. Ako ja znam samo kod, ali znam samo dizajn, onda će to teško sporazumjeti, tu će biti dosta kolizije. Tako da, jako je dobro učiti još nešto. I super je kad bi dizajn mogao isprogramirati dio ili kad bi programer mogao i dizajnirati. Da smo uspjeli sad čak napraviti napretka u posljednje vrijeme da se to događa i da smo pošto uglavnom smo programerska firma kojih i njih je više, čitaju knjigu o dizajnu, znači oni su počeli to uzimati u obzir i nema ono više tupi da je to bitno, nego sami traže da im se pokaže.
Ali recimo ono što nam je nekako, mislim razmišljali smo već o tome da probamo malo više spojiti developere i nas dizajnera, znači da i ja naučim raditi, barem u onom dijelu gdje se, ne barem, nego onaj dio gdje se baš, recimo, fontovi, font size, ne znam, nekakvi ti line heightovi i slične stvari, taj dio bi bilo super kad bi ja mogao odraditi. Znači, vrlo je teško sve specificirati za sve projekte, jer ih imamo dosta, preklapaju se stalno i da bi ti napravio vrhunsku specifikaciju koju bi onda još programer trebao i implementirati, to je jednostavno previše vremena kojeg nemamo, a na ovaj način bi možda neke stvari, kao što ste sad vidjeli, koje nisu rocket science, ja bi to mogao na brzinu srediti i dobili bi bolji proizvod na kraju, međutim još.
Znači za sad programeri rade recimo za web aplikacije HTML i CSS.
Da, znači imamo front-end developer.
Da.
Koji se radi u zamcu Java. Sad više nema sajtova koji radi na carry Java. Još pitanje? Dizajn, firma, programiranje.
Evo, ako nema više pitanja, onda ćemo malo prije s komentarjem. I dakle, evo, samo htio bi se prvo zahvaliti u ime App Start Contesta organizacijskog tima što ste došli.
Hvala. Baš drago.
I za vas vjerujem da je ova tu.
Hvala.
Certifikat. Hvala. I Luki ćemo donijeti.
Ajde da ćemo.
Možete mu donijeti ovako. Ništa i hvala vama što ste došli i nadam se da ćemo se vidjeti sve na četvrtom predavanju, možda i većem broju i vidimo se.